Kidnapped, walking the scene with you in old flicks from the 90s. So keen, the VHS Club, they're the talk of the town. Breaking it down, spreading nostalgia all around. Moving and grooving to the synth-pop sound. Their insights so fresh, painting pictures profound. From Pulp Fiction to Clueless, they know it all. The genuine love for movies stands tall. Unfolding memories on that VHS screen, talking about classics like you've never seen. Katie with her charm, Matt with that wit. Together they make the VHS Club legit.
Welcome back to the VHS Club. I'm very excited tonight. One, this is one of my all-time favorite movies, so this is definitely in my elusive top 10 that I never like to mention or go through because I change what's in there all the time. But this one stays in the top 10, so spoilers as to my thoughts on it. And two, we are yet again pulling people from our live studio audience who also have movie podcasts onto the show. So welcome to Kathy and Kenny. We're so excited you're here.
We are excited to be here.
Very excited to be here.
And I'm even more. I've like
at our age, we're excited to be anywhere. Really, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna say it.
No. This is a VHS safe space. There is no ageism here. All are welcome, except for young people. Young people are not welcome. Anyone else
they wouldn't get it.
Is logic. Young people wouldn't get it. Well,
no, they wouldn't get it.
So tonight we are talking about Better Off Dead, 80s movie, John Cusack movie, very weird movie, dark comedy. And we were talking before we jumped on that this is one of those movies that like Nat and I both assumed that only we liked this movie because it's so weird and dark. But as it turns out, everyone seems to like this movie. So it should be a fun one. It should be a fun one.
My son loves this movie.
It blows my mind because it's so, in my mind, it's such a, I mean, I definitely would define it as a cult classic, but it's one of those movies that like you feel like you are the only person that's seen it. So it's always shocking when other people are like, oh, I love that.
Better Off Dead is up there with like Goonies, like movies that everybody has seen.
I love it.
Better Off Dead is up there with like Back to the Future, something that everybody has seen.
My brother has like this short movie memory. Kenny, when did you actually watch Goonies?
See, you don't have to just come on and the first thing you do is embarrass me.
I'm sorry, but we do a pop culture podcast. He's a new convert to Goonies. I'm just saying. But
well, you're welcome to be a new convert to Goonies. I think that's
never
great.
Be too late to like Goonies.
Yeah.
Exactly. One of the things that we kind of would bond over as siblings is movies and quotes from movies. Yeah. And for years when I lived in New York City for like over 13 years, we would leave each other voicemail messages. And again, I'm dating myself because nobody leaves voicemails or has an answer machine anymore.
Oh, I wish I did.
But basically, the messages wouldn't be "How are you? What's going on?" It would be quotes from movies, like 4 weeks, 20 papers, $2.
And you can only call a person back. You only call a person back if you know the movie that was quoted.
Amazing.
And
we leave messages on our answer machines.
This was an often quoted movie because there's just so many great little quotes and lines from this movie that
I would quote the Magnificent Seven a lot from the 60s. The 60s with Yul Brynner, Charles Bronson. I would quote that one a lot because I love that movie. So I would quote that a lot. Nobody throws my own guns and says run. Nobody. But, better off dead.
Oh, I find the older that I get, the less I'm able to quote things. Like if people are like, "What's your favorite quote from the movie?" I just panic and shut down. But then as we start saying quotes, I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I do have this movie memorized." It's a weird like
I can't remember anybody's name, but I can remember quotes.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I can remember quotes from movies.
That's better.
And-
It's better anyway. Really, I mean, the quotes are better than everyone's names.
I feel so bad because I know as a part of the podcast, you guys have a newsletter where, Natalie's notes are revealed. So when we watched this after Thanksgiving, I actually took copious notes.
Yes.
And
Good. You can save
I
Nat a
mean-
step. We can grab your notes and put them up.
oh no, I actually left
Cat-
them on my desk at work because I was looking over them today at lunch and I'm like, oh. And then I
Kathy
came
took
home and
notes. I just watched the movie and laughed. She was taking notes.
All right, well then,
Yeah.
Kathy, we're gonna challenge you. Normally, we have Nat give us our IMDb brief description of the movie, but we'll let you do it tonight. You tell us what this one's about. It can be as short and as weird as you would like to make the description.
As you alluded to in the intro or the chyron that was rolling across the top, it was a semi-autobiographical kind of tale of the director, Savage Steve Holland, who I guess broke up with his girlfriend broke up with him in high school, and he contemplated ways of killing himself. And as a way to cope, and this movie is just a slice of the 80s with our hero, John Cusack, attempting to off himself when he loses the love of his life, Beth. And to gain her back, he attempts to ski the K-12, but he realizes in the end that maybe she's not the girl for him, but he finds love in the most unexpected places. And again, happy endings all the way around. And he is stalked throughout the movie by the paperboy.
By the paperboy. I think
That was amazing.
that was amazing. That was like it almost. So if you hear that and you have not yet seen this, like it looks like Josh hasn't watched this one yet. We're betting Val hasn't seen this one
Gosh.
yet. You would think that this movie is darker than it is, but I will say, and I dropped this actually in the show notes or in the YouTube description, depending on where you're watching or listening. But there was a blog article about a person who had rewatched this after like years of not seeing it, which is similar to me actually. It's been a while since I've rewatched this one, even though I've seen it a million times. And not that I forgot that he was suicidal, but like none of that was in my mind when I rewatched this. Like in my mind, it was this like quirky, weird, like silly movie, but then rewatching it today, I was like, "Oh, this is much darker than, you think."
This is a prime example of the way the industry has changed
Yeah,
and the way culture has changed.
Yeah.
Because now you couldn't do that
this
as a
wouldn't be
comedy.
made now. No, yeah,
You couldn't do that as a comedy. There's a lot of things that we saw in the 70s and 80s and even the early 90s you couldn't do, like C. Thomas Howell and Soul Man. You couldn't do that now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that now. But this is a young man in high school who tries to commit suicide a couple times.
yeah,
And that would have a trigger warning nowadays where
Yeah.
Gen X 80s kids, we laughed at that and we thought it was hilarious.
Yep.
Because he kept trying to do it and he kept failing and something happened where he kept messing up, or he goes, "Wait a minute, what am I doing?" Like he tries to jump off a bridge and falls into a dump truck, and he walks by and the electricians look down, the two black electricians look down, like throwing away a perfectly good white. Like it's hilarious.
I could
That's
not
actually the
stop
funniest
laughing.
line.
Just
in the
as
movie.
a side note, and I know usually Paul gives us our trivia facts, but one of the electricians oh gosh, Stephen Williams, I believe is the actor's name, but he played Mulder's informant on the X-Files. And
Oh yeah,
I don't know
Ooh,
why I
that's
know these
cool.
things, but I do.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
Yeah, that was a
So
fantastic
it's a
line.
pretty dark movie.
Yeah.
And one of the other dark things about this movie that came out later is that the young kid who plays
Ricky.
Ricky.
Ricky
Uh,
is
Oh,
actually Dan Snyder, who's accused of, molesting kids in the
and grooming
Nickelodeon when
them.
he
And
became a producer and everything, and
allegedly.
giving inappropriate back rubs to young girls and things like
I
that.
had messaged Katie. I'm like, I think he took this role a little too seriously because he seems to have carried his part through the rest of his life.
Yeah.
X.
I had to like turn that part off in my brain, and I think it made it
Yeah.
like because I love this movie so much, and I just like
Yeah.
he's such a repulsive person in real life. If you've not yet seen the Nickelodeon documentary, it is 100% worth watching, and he is a terrible person. I'm just gonna go out there and say that.
Some things you have to
That
turn off.
documentary affected my sleep.
Yeah.
It's really anyway. But
It's but he what makes it like not that it's slightly better in this movie, but his character in this movie is also a complete asshole and is, completely slimy and
He's
is
creepy. He's
is
very
probably just him being himself. So it makes it like you hate him so violently throughout the movie that it's kind of like, well, I don't like the actor and I don't like the character. And we're just that's like my moment of hatred throughout this movie is just
Yeah.
that character.
I did find that plot line kind of, I'm like, how? That's weird. Like the mom like imported a foreign exchange student
Yeah.
so her son can have
Could have a girlfriend.
a sex life.
Yeah. Yeah. A girlfriend
Like,
used nicely.
what?
Yeah.
yeah, freak
was-
factor high on that.
Yeah, the mom was
Sorry I
worse
blew up your
though.
mom, Ricky.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we did get vindicated when the mom kind of accidentally blew herself up in one of Lane's failed suicide attempts.
Yes.
Not literally, like she obviously needed
she
some
burnt her
facial
face and
reconstruction.
everything because she was smoking and he was trying to douse himself with gasoline. And
chugs
she
the
drank
clip.
it and then put a cigarette and boom, there it was. And that woman actually passed away
Oh.
from I believe Alzheimer's.
Oh, that's too
Oh,
bad.
she's actually very funny. She
She's
played
really
her
funny,
role
yeah.
very well.
Yeah,
Good physical comedy too. But
the women in this movie like are all fantastic. Like I was sending a note to Nat earlier today. I was like, pour one out for Monique. She's my favorite in this movie, and I love John Cusack,
Definitely.
but she's incredible. Like not only is she's like can speak English and French fluently, which is already awesome. And then she can fix cars. She's like an amazing skier. She's
Right.
smoking hot. She's incredibly smart. Like,
Well,
and
here's
she's
the
no
thing, too.
nonsense about everything. She's like, just shut up and stop doing this, and let's win this skiing competition. Like, I'll help you.
The actress Diane Franklin
yeah.
also played in Last American Virgin.
Oh yeah,
And she was
Yeah.
the one that, led the guy on. And then at the end, he walks in on her kissing her ex-boyfriend who did her wrong anyway.
Yeah.
So, she was like, you look at in this movie, she's all sweet and everything, but in the other movie, so it's kind of like
a different role.
I have to say, as somebody who is bilingual, like fluently speaks French, when she spoke French, I didn't understand a word she was saying. And like the accent was correct. Like when she was speaking English with a French accent, I'm like, perfect. The actual French, and I'm like, I know some of those words are French, but my brain is not actually understanding a single word she said. I don't, just an observation as a French
My
speaker.
cousin is like that. He can like speak French, quote unquote, for hours and not like it's just gibberish, but you would swear he is speaking French.
He was
and I'm
Yeah.
like
It's
fluent
just
enough that I'm like,
method.
no, that's not. And yeah, and I more or less understood her. I mean, at least in like the direct, the like more obvious French things she was saying,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was her accent was awesome. Like all the way through. I love the line. So there's a moment later in the movie she helps Lane, who's John Cusack's character, prepare to compete against this like jackass ski guy that has stolen his girlfriend in this epic
Stalin, by the way.
epic
His name's
ski race.
Stalin, which is
Stalin.
funny.
And
I love that the villain's name is Stalin.
Yeah.
It's like they couldn't like hammer it into our heads anymore that he's the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
direct. It's very direct. But I do love at the very end, I love two moments with her. One where they're at the top of the hill and she repeats the same line that Lane's best friend had said, where it's like, you just go down and then when you see trees, you turn. Like, it's so easy. And she like flawlessly goes down. And then love that. And then at the very end, where they're getting ready to go, she like pauses and she's like, kick his ass. And then puts on her sunglasses and skis away. I'm like, she's just fantastic. Like, I would like to be friends with her.
Here's the thing about that too, because it's a movie. They got 2 hours, hour and a half to get it all in.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole movie, he's practicing with his friend. He's falling down the mountain. He's breaking his skis. He's jumping. But then, right before the match, he skis with her.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, he's a champ.
He's a champ. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like love made him better
Yeah.
at skiing.
It gave him the self-confidence to just do it.
But he's been like
I need
supposedly he's been skiing.
I need to fall in love so I won't be broke. I'm just saying. Because if that's what it does to you.
According to 80s movies, that's what you. But he's supposed to be part of the ski club,
only
though.
life were 80s.
So like he would have done a bunch of practicing, like hypothetically speaking, with the ski club all the way through. He's been like a member of the club for some period of time.
Yeah, but that run is crazy.
Really, was it love or was it actually the paperboy?
Or was it? I know the paperboy drives him. Yeah.
His final run on one ski of the K-12 was because the paperboy was after him.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not love, but actual fear.
And did
It
you
was
not
fear
get
that drove him to do it.
Was it just me, or did anybody else get like another 80s movie, The Warriors? Warriors vibes when all the paper boys came at
Oh my
him.
God,
and
that's so true.
They
Instead
were
of street gangs, it's just paper boys.
They were
12-year-old
fantastic because he
it was like the guys with the from the Warriors with the bats came out in the park and same thing.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
same kind of scene.
Now the other side joke that I like throughout the whole movie is everyone asking, is it okay that they can date Beth?
Everyone wants to date Beth. Yeah. Everyone wants to date Beth,
including Barney Rubble. That was the best.
Hey Lane, since you're not dating Beth anymore.
And the one part I will say, like, again, speaking of like whether or not these movies hold up, this one definitely does not hold up. Yet it's so weird that you're kind of like, that's fine. It's so strange, whatever. But if you compare this one against Ferris Bueller, in Ferris Bueller, you have this like teacher who drones on and everyone is like losing their minds. They're so bored. And in this one, you have the same like droning teacher, but every single student is like the best day of their lives. They're like they're sad when the class ends. Like it with that teacher.
Former math teacher, that was like my favorite scene. It was like everybody's on the edge of their seat in anticipation for him just going over,
Yeah, except
the bell rings and it goes, no. Read chapter 9 to 13, and they're like,
yay! Yeah, I was killing myself.
Lane in high school, where like the math, I'm just like, I don't want to. Definitely not poetry.
Another feature, and again, not the world's greatest soundtrack, but if we could talk music a little bit, I think this movie introduced me to Van Halen because. I think the hamburger scene and the cartoons are epic, as well as Howard Jones. I like to get to know you well, but the best. And I can't think of anyone who has not experienced this after a breakup, after a relationship. You turn on the radio, and not one, not two, but every song reminds you of the bitterness stewing in your heart. Ways to leave your lover. She's gone.
I also really liked it. She was she always had cameo bits in a bunch of 80s movies as the singer that was in it, Daly.
Her outfit was
Elizabeth
so fantastic.
Daly.
Yeah.
She was actually a contestant one time on one of those shows, not The Voice. It might have been American Idol. I just remember seeing her, and when I saw her on that reality show, I'm like, "Ah, I remember her from the
Yeah.
80s."
Such a good singer. She was so cute. She popped up in like a couple of movies like that. She was in Valley Girl and she was in
Streets of Fire.
I was just gonna say Streets of Fire, Rock and Roll
Fire.
Fable. I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Oh,
Streets of Fire. Oh man,
Fire is
bad, but
awesome.
so good.
there's nothing better than the last scene of Streets of Fire when they're doing a concert and they do "I Can Dream About You" and he does the Michael Jackson move and he goes, "I can dream," and
I
then
love that
he
movie.
does
I
all
think
that. And then
the
she
first
sings, and then all the guys in the back, Robert Townsend's in the back, like with the other guys.
love
When
it.
she sings, what is it, Ever Dark the Night or whatever. And they got the whole silhouette thing
So
going.
you get, and again, and I'm the one who says I hate musicals, but I guess that's not true. My favorite movie is Fame, and you guys did Fame, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
I
But
love
also
musicals.
another one from the 80s that my brother and I always bonded over was The Idolmaker as well. So,
Oh, I don't know if I've
but
seen that one. I'll have to add
we're
that one to my
still better
list.
off dead.
Yes, yes, yes.
I
Well,
have to
that's
say,
the fun part about
we go
rewatching
off on
these.
But my
tangents.
sister does not like the best musical made, which is Grease 2.
Grease too. I don't know if I agree with you
I
on
saw
that one.
Grease
I
2
like.
once, and I was like, it's not like Grease.
It's
Yes.
not like Grease. No, it's not like Grease.
Natalie, I was liking you up until now.
I have to rewatch it. I will
I
give it
was
a
liking you up
rewatch.
until now. Where else can you get a song like reproduction? Reproduction.
Oh my
See what
God.
happens when a guy and girl
Very
don't know what they're doing. Oh, it's great. It's great. I want a smooth
I think there was
rider.
a Christmas song too, wasn't there? Is that a Christmas movie?
Is that-
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no, that's not Christmas movie. That was
Don't make Kathy cry. Oh.
I know I'm alone on that Die Hard hill, but that's
yeah,
okay.
you're alone. You're alone. You're all by your own island, all
And
by you.
Disney
You're
turned
like
on you.
you're like Gilligan without the other 6 people with him.
Hey, another interesting
Alone
fact
is
about
stop.
this movie. Let's get back to Better Off Dead, because another
Better off
interesting
dead.
fact
Better off dead. Let's get back to
is
Better Off
that
Dead.
is that John Cusack was actually mad at the
Yeah.
director
He hated this
after the
movie.
movie was made, thinking, oh, it made a fool out of him. I think he's come around now that it has like a cult kind of classic
Yeah.
following. But
I feel
I
like
know,
this
it breaks my heart.
cemented that 80s John Cusack
It-
character that he played in every movie he was in the 80s.
Yeah,
He
Pretty
was
much.
always the
Pretty
same.
much.
It's funny that he was so kind of viscerally against it because apparently he was pretty involved in like he was there for like a lot of the editing. So it wouldn't have been a surprise. Like I feel like Savage Steve Holland's pretty like has a very specific vibe and overall like
Yeah.
directorial style. So it's not like it feels like it would be weird that he would have been surprised by what the movie came out as, unless he was just upset with how it performed, which certainly is fair because it definitely did not do well in the theaters. But
Yeah.
Isn't it weird how you get these cult classics that when they come out in theater, they're not really a
Awful.
cult classic.
yeah.
And so after, like Better Off Dead, it became a cult classic after the fact.
Yeah.
Grease 2 became a cult classic after the fact.
I think
Streets of Fire.
Streets of
Also
Fire.
a huge cult classic.
review.
I
And it was
think-
pretty much one of the worst. I think Streets of Fire was coined as the worst movie ever made in Hollywood because it lost the most amount of money comparatively. But it has a huge cult following.
Well, I
Oh,
think
definitely.
Streets of
Oh,
Fire, I don't know
kinda
how
like-
that was.
Like
That
Eddie
was
and
a
the
good movie when
Cruisers.
I first saw it when it came out. That was a good movie. I don't understand how it didn't, I mean, it was no Fast and Furious, but it was a good movie.
I think when it comes to cult classics, I feel like a lot of it is that they don't know how to market them. Like I listened to there is an audiobook on the making of The Princess Bride, which is another movie that totally like
Yes.
failed in the box office and then it has become like an iconic cult classic movie. And I think like they were saying that no one knew exactly how to market it. Like it was like, is it a love story? Is it a fantasy? Is it an action movie? We don't know what makes it special, but it's special. And so then no one knows whether or not they want to go see it. And it takes time for word of mouth to be like, no, you have to see this movie, or like people quoting it or people wanting to see it. And so I think like this movie is similar. It's very strange, and I think a lot of what makes it fun and interesting is that it's like it's a, you know, it's a romantic comedy, but it's also a dark comedy. The comedy in it is very layered. It's almost like makes me think of Arrested Development and some like where you can watch it 4 or 5 times and find something new that's funny about it that you didn't. And so I wonder if like part of it is just that it took like time and money. Like I mean, going to the theater is expensive, and also like it's, you know, it's an experience of going out, whereas renting a movie, like, you know, we all grew up like renting movies pretty easily. It was pretty affordable. It was easy. Supposedly people just stole this movie as well. It was like widely stolen from Blockbusters everywhere. People would be like, just gone.
Here's
like,
the thing though. Here's the thing, when you talk about cult classics, usually a cult classic is a movie from the 70s, 80s, or maybe early 90s.
Yeah.
There's no new cult classics really.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, and when you talk about marketing.
Yeah, you need the time to hate it first. Yeah. Exactly. It needs to grow.
You know what? I think in one case, I think a cult classic was probably marketed that way, and that's probably the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, Paul just mentioned that one in the chat. Yeah.
And the thing with this is that marketing has come, especially with the internet and everything else, social media, marketing has become so much easier, so much better. So if a movie fails,
and with streaming too,
it's streaming. So if a movie fails, it's because it sucks.
Yeah. Now it's like you don't have a chance. It's like if the movie's bad, well, too bad.
If the movie's bad, it's gonna
Here's
suck. It's not gonna be a cult classic.
Here's a question: you know, why was all the food in this movie like a green Jello?
Like the bacon looked like it had like a gelatinous Tide. I don't know if the Tide is still that liquid
like
Tide is that like that blue, like that gooey blue that it used to be in the 80s. Probably.
I kind of resonated with this part of the movie. I kind of felt the pain on this movie because that's exactly the way my ex-wife used to cook.
Ouch.
She's fired. But I will say the mom in this movie, there's something about particularly, and I love John Cusack, but particularly the women in this movie. The mom is so pure. Like, she's so sweet and nice, and she's trying so hard. Like, every comment is like, you know, it's like, well, I'm trying this new form of bacon because you said you can't eat grease anymore, and it's like, and Lane said he loved raisins, so I'm making this raisin, like, and she's so like clueless and patient.
Yeah, she's
but she's so
innocent
inept,
acting and like
but like adorable, so you can't really get angry at her.
Marches to the beat of her own drum, doesn't care what anybody says. She's just
you kind of look at it though and wonder how,
and that's in contrast to the younger brother.
Oh yeah.
It's like the weird, bizarre genius who's building rocket ships in the house.
All the characters in this movie.
Who doesn't say a word through the whole movie.
Oh, he does. No. You're right. He doesn't.
The brother doesn't say a word through the whole movie. But he has such a
personality
part in it.
Yeah.
And his face was like, this kid was a really good actor, especially when Lane walks in on him and he's surrounded by all these slutty women and he's just sitting there. He's like Hugh Hefner sitting there. It's like
he's like somewhere between the age of like 10 and 14. I don't know, can't tell, but
I do.
He's like,
he does refer to him as the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
At
the beginning. 8-year-olds. Oh, why do you spend all your time on this stuff? And that's when he points the laser gun and shoots something. It's like, okay.
One thing I noticed in this movie, and you see it in a lot of 80s movies, is the 8x10 photos that everybody always seems to have.
We need to bring that back. Could we just have like random framed photos of like friends and significant others?
You know what? We can't bring that back because
it's way cheaper now.
We can't bring that back. It's because everybody has pictures on their phone now.
Yeah. There's something so charming though about it. It makes me think of Home Alone where he's like, Buzz, your girlfriend, woof, and puts the breakdown. It's 8x10 photos were in every room. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
we have cell phones now. Everybody has pictures on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did people go out to get these shots when they got into a relationship so they could trade photos? Was this just something you had on you?
I think for their school photos. Aren't they just like the
Yeah.
school photos of like
No,
the high school
No.
pic? I guess
you
not.
you go to a photo booth. You go to a photo booth. You get a photo developed.
It's like
Like
Sears
a
photos.
glamour shot.
The glamour
I,
shots
look,
at Sears.
when I was in college, I dated a girl who worked at a photo place, and she had me come in just so she could take pictures of me.
Yeah.
It makes me
so
think
funny.
of Napoleon Dynamite, where she's taking like the glamour shot. The glamour shots is like part of her thing.
You know
as
what? I've
well.
heard of that movie and I've never seen it.
Oh, it's also very
It's
strange.
also very strange.
I
It's
watched it-
of this elk.
Yeah, I
of
watched it with
movie.
my 13-year-old son, and I thought he would think it was like hilarious because it's very slow, but the lines are hilarious in it, but they're all deadpan. And he looked at me and he was like, "Is there a plot to this movie?" I was like, "No, there's actually no plot to
just
this
sit
movie.
back, go
It's
with it."
just, it's just this guy's life, and he's weird, and we're like laughing at it. And
He will quote this movie.
he
for the rest
probably
of his
will. He'll
life.
probably end up loving it and quoting it, but it is definitely a weird one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there. Paul pointed out we can now have digital photo frames, so we can change the pictures of our boyfriends at the push of a button. Yeah, or it's true. We should just update the technology
Terrifying.
to our. I did wonder, like at the beginning of this movie, Lane, John Cusack's character, is obsessed with Beth, his at the time girlfriend, who he loses, and he's got this like
Obsessed to a level that is
Yeah, highly
very
obsessed.
Unhealthy.
Yeah, unhealthy, and he's got this
Yeah.
like walk-in
Well, you know why he was
closet.
obsessed, right? You know why he was obsessed.
Because she was his first.
Yeah.
She was his first,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
first
and
piece
she's
of, you know. So
yeah,
he was obsessed with her.
she's like she's beautiful, but I definitely was like, there's like this moment where he walks into his like giant clueless level like walk-in closet, and he's got like her photo on all the hangers, and I was like, how did he
Yeah.
afford to print that in the 80s? Like, I can't even
right.
afford that now on like my laser printer here at home. I'd be like, that's a lot of ink. I
Well,
don't know.
Well, you did kind of get the sense, if you listen to the movie, you did kind of get the sense that his father had money.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess, yeah.
It
it's true.
was, and
Well,
because
he had to have money to
look at-
keep placing the glass in the
Yes.
garage.
But not the
Keep it
$2. He hasn't paid the $2.
yeah, you didn't have $2.
Yeah.
You know,
well.
And
I don't
also,
think
too,
the kid earned the $2.
he was able to get Lane the money to buy a car that just sat there while Lane drove around the other car.
Yeah,
So
$200 to buy a car in the 80s
Yeah,
was
well, it
a
was
lot
the
of
80s.
money.
yeah.
it
That
was
was,
80.
that was still money, yeah. It also, so the paperboy, he's chasing Lane down for this $2 that his dad owes him. Except the kid broke the windows in the garage daily.
Yeah.
And every time the dad replaced them, the kid would break it again. I'm like, did he really deserve his $2?
No.
Oh, hey, and it was $2 plus tip.
Plus tip, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus tip. Plus tip.
True.
Cash. $2 cash
tip.
plus tip, yeah. Yeah.
But then maybe if he paid the $2, he wouldn't
Break
purposely
the windows. It's true. He's breaking the
Ah.
windows because he's angry about
Plot
the $2.
thickens.
Can we
That's
talk
the
about the racing? Because that's another like weird and wonderful moment where
Oh.
Yes.
he pulls up
Yes.
next to
Drag racing.
these two Asian men in a car like multiple times, and they've clearly learned English by watching like sports endlessly on TV. So they have like sports announcer voices as a result, and it's so insane and preposterous. And I love that Lane's got like dish gloves that he puts on and like
That he puts
and
on.
like glasses, and the whole thing is so insane, and they never explain it in any way. It just, but this movie has so many layers and so many callbacks too, like things that like were funny for like a second at the beginning of the movie come back like later in like a unpredictable way, like another unexpected moment, and they're, I don't know, they're randomly like at the end of the race to like announce the end of the race when he's skiing, which I think
Now,
is hilarious.
one of those Asian men was Yujai Don Okumato, who was in Karate Kid 2, and also
Yeah.
we refreshed that role in Cobra Kai on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
And actually, he practiced and rehearsed the Howard Cosell voice, but his voice was actually dubbed by an impersonator, Rich Little.
Rich Little.
Yeah.
That's a callback from way back.
Is he
in the-
still alive, Rich Little?
Kenny, don't ask me. You know I kill people off all the time.
Quick Paul fact check us. Wait, this just in.
Paul
Val has
fact
seen
check
this
us.
movie. Val,
Wow.
did you like this one? Because we're gonna be really upset if you say no. So just lie to us and say that you enjoyed this one. It's called
Dude, that
Better
makes
Off
me so
Dead.
excited.
She's like, I don't even know what it was called. I have no idea what this movie was even called. Yeah, I will say, I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, and we were talking about this before we jumped on. For whatever reason, and I still do not understand this movie, similar to like A Christmas Story and a few others, just got picked up by like random TV stations and just played on like loops endlessly. The only reason I even know this movie, like I think I saw it initially probably when I was like a teenager or a little bit younger, but then and never really probably thought twice about it, like thought it was funny and moved on. But I love this movie because when I was first, I guess I was about 17 or 18. I first started dating my now husband. This movie was on 24/7 on like, it felt like every channel. Like every time we had the TV on, we were like, Better Off Dead's on again. Like, might as well just sit here and finish watching it. We had that whole movie memorized just as a result of it just being on over and over and over and over again. It's good news. Rich Little's alive. We're good. Everyone's good.
Well, we talked about actually, coming on and doing the show, and I think I was confirming with you via email. I look up and it was on.
It's still on all the time.
Picture of my television. I'm like, this movie is always on.
It's always
That's
on. And yet
amazing.
it's one of those ones like A Christmas Story that like, if it's on, I'm gonna sit there and watch it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll sit down.
You'll jump right in and
Yeah.
fries, French bread. You're
it's-
in.
There's so many
there's
good
certain
lines.
movies. There's certain movies you can't, like, if you pass them by, you have to, keep watching it and wait for like a good part and whatnot. And Better Off Dead is one of those movies where, like, even his friend, who's always trying to get high, is like, there's snow, this whole mountain, straight by you, this mountain.
It's pure snow. Yeah. He's
I love the scene where Stalin, the bully who ends up dating Beth, makes fun of Lane and his best friend, saying like, "Oh, you guys are each other's dates," and he makes this big joke about it, and then the best friend just starts laughing maniacally.
yeah, doubling down.
Yes,
And then throughout the whole scene at the party or dance, wherever they are, the friend walks by him and is still laughing in his face. Like, oh my
Charles
God.
DeMar.
It's
Charles DeMar is his name, and
Charles
the actor is
DeMar.
Curtis Armstrong, who we
Yes.
all know as Booger and the Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
yeah.
And he also played in one of Kathy's favorite shows, Moonlighting.
Oh,
I
didn't know
love that show.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That
he
is
was
awesome.
he's such a distinct character actor. Like
Yeah.
with his
Yes.
voice, it's like you would recognize that voice and that laugh anywhere. That was my favorite scene in the movie where he just laughs in Stalin's face.
I still can't get over the fact that this is based on a true story, and I just want to I highlight a couple of things about it before we end up getting distracted again and jump off without saying this, because this is like, we should check in on Savage Steve Holland to make sure he's okay, because like he got broken up with by his girlfriend, who then started dating the ski captain. So like, that is accurate. He tried to kill himself, and like the scene where like John Cusack's in the like garage and tries to kill himself, and it, like the thing breaks and he's like not able to do it. That's an actual scene where in Savage Steve Holland's real life, where his mother opened the door and like basically stopped him from killing himself, and then was like, "You broke this like not wire, but like vacuum. It was like a hose or something he was using, and charged him for it." So like, which is so 80s. Like you've now destroyed this thing, so now you have to pay for it. And I guess his like the scenes of his mom giving like the TV dinners as Christmas gifts, like his mom actually did that. Like these characters like seem insane to us, and apparently are just like actual real people in Steve Holland's life, which is just like crazy to me. I can't even begin to imagine. Yeah, Paul says the water pipe. How is this real? How is this real life? I
did research did he make any other movies?
He did. He made one he directed one other movie with John Cusack called One Crazy Summer, which is
Okay.
as weird and strange as this one. It's got Demi Moore in
Yeah,
it.
One Crazy Summer is great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
One
it's
Crazy.
also good.
it's also really
It's
good.
John Cusack,
Ooh,
Demi
I have
Moore.
not seen that
It's
one.
worth watching if you enjoyed this one. It is. I don't think it's quite as good as Better Off Dead, but
No.
it's definitely a fun one, and it has some like
I believe
equally weird
I
scenes.
believe Curtis Armstrong is in One Crazy Summer also.
Yeah, it's almost. And I guess you were talking
Almost the
earlier about
same.
about John Cusack not liking Better Off Dead. I guess he had already signed on to One Crazy Summer, and they had like were starting filming when Better Off Dead came out, so he was like equally angry that he had already committed to doing the second movie. So he was just like filled with anger about everything. But did it anyway, and seems, which is, as Nat was saying, like so strange to me because John Cusack wasn't a
Played this
big name
character.
actor. Like he had done The Sure Thing. That was the movie that he had done before this. And don't get me wrong,
There's
it's
Hot Pursuit.
a
There was
great
this.
yeah,
They're all
like
the same. It's the same character.
it's the same character, and he like and
always
Savage Steve Holland wanted like fought to have him in this movie. So like I'm sure he was like well paid because they like were not going to make this movie without him. So it's so sad that he didn't like it after all
He,
that.
he did play the nerd, and he did play the nerd in 16 Candles.
Right. And that was the concern from the production team, was that they were worried that he couldn't play a leading role. And it's because he wasn't, I guess this was his like official first leading role character. But then he went on to be like iconic as the like,
He
as
was
sort
the
of
romantic
the romantic lead in
teen
like all
movies.
all these 80s movies. Which has always been concerning to me because he's like, I adore him, and he's got such a strange real life that I'm always just like, we'll just only look at John Cusack through the lens of these movies, like because he doesn't appear to be all that romantic in real life.
One other
Yeah,
thing I
16
want to bring
Candles.
up real quick.
Iconic and Say Anything.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, Say Anything is fantastic.
One other thing I want to bring up real quick. That's often overlooked in this. When he gets a job,
Yeah.
and he works for the guy whose car he kept hitting.
The guy who's
And that was the actor was Charles Thomas Mitchell, who also was known for playing Porky in the Porky's movies.
That's why and that makes sense.
So then the pig
Yeah.
on
Like the
restaurant.
logo and everything.
Yes.
This
like,
movie is very
the restaurant.
clever. Like it's just like you need. I don't know. I would like to be friends with Savage Steve Holland because I feel like he seems to obviously love movies and is like just clever on a variety of levels to be able to, like, it's one thing to tell a story, but it's another thing to be able to like stitch it together so well that you're like that background characters, even ones that don't speak, have such a strong personality, and like every single moment in this movie is like flawlessly crafted. Even if you don't like this movie, it's like it is really beautifully put together, and how weird it is. I don't know. It reminds me when we did the Nothing But Trouble episode where we like hated that one. And we were like, this would never get made again. And Dan Aykroyd is so incredibly strange. This is almost like the positive side of that one, where I'm like, Savage Steve Holland is incredibly strange. This would never get made again, but I'm really glad it did.
It would be really interesting to see like where his mind is today.
Yeah.
And 'cause again, if you think about some of the jokes or some of the things that probably
Wouldn't,
trigger cancel culture.
Yeah.
But where would he go with that today? And to me, as a person who's done stand up, the beauty of comedy is that you get to say the thing that you shouldn't say.
It's shocking.
Yeah, you get to have those twists. So I'd be interested to see kind of
He does
what he's
Look,
other
I'm a
stuff.
spoken word poet that's all about the revolution. So I am always saying something somebody doesn't want to hear.
I mean, yeah, it is hard because on one hand, I completely understand where people are coming from, and obviously, there's like awful things that exist out there that we don't want to be, perpetuating. But on the other hand, I feel like we do lose a lot with cancel culture, which is hard. It's a hard balancing act to pull off. But yeah, it would be interesting.
It's hard
He
when you're
doesn't.
trying to apply it to comedy.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
it's very hard in comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a fine line of
Yeah.
some of comedy is making fun of these things
Yeah.
that we, like making fun of suicide,
Yeah.
bringing light to it. It is also bringing awareness to it, but through a lens of comedy. So it's like we can't really, just like it would be a shame if this movie was being made today and then didn't see the light of day because
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah,
And,
because
and
it yeah.
comics like back in the day, like Richard Pryor and George Carlin, would definitely get canceled.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%.
They would
100%.
definitely.
So now with all the memorable lines and all the scenes, what would be your favorite?
Oh my gosh.
The one that
Ooh.
I say all the time, and I was today years old when I realized I got it from this movie when I was a kid,
That's a great
is
moment.
is Mercy Bucket,
Yeah.
which is merci beaucoup
Yeah.
in French, but like if you say it with
How it's spelled,
like
yeah.
like from an English,
Mhm.
Americanized version of reading the word in English, but it's French, Mercy Buckets. I say it all like every day.
I've said that and I didn't even realize. Oh, I got it from Better Off Dead.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
gosh,
and
there's
it's just a thing that we say all the time.
there's
Yeah,
so
so
many.
that's my line.
That's a good one.
Katie, what's yours?
I mean, from a quote standpoint, I don't even think I could come close. There's like so many of them, and as they kept happening, I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this line. But from like a movie moment standpoint, I think, especially in rewatching it, I absolutely love the scene where Monique just loses her shit. Like she's standing outside across this. She's at this house and she's had this awful experience. And up until this point, you assume that she can't speak a word of English, and you're sort of like why would she have come to the United States if she doesn't speak
so
any
he can
English?
put his testicles all over me.
Yeah, so he can put and she just
Testicles,
she
arms.
loses
Like how do you
it,
say? Like squid, like octopus.
and it
Tentacles.
takes
There's a difference.
That is fun.
everything she says is so, again, like perfect in that moment. And what I love the most about it is she's like a good 5 minutes into her rant before John Cusack's like, wait, you can speak English? Like he's just like, it takes him so long to process while she's just losing it. Like she's like, I can't do this anymore. I just came here to because I
I'm
love
not a
baseball.
prostate.
I'm not a prostate. And then she corrects herself and he's still just like processing that she's speaking English in the background. It's so I don't know. I for some reason, something about her as a character, I just like loved even more this time around, where she's just so great. And he's just shocked by her the entire movie. And I have to admit that I also am shocked by her for most of the movie. But I loved that scene because I loved the testicles. I loved
What about you
Well,
guys?
there was an attraction to the two when they first met. He was just denying the attraction because he was still in love with Beth.
Yeah.
And and the thing about this movie is it ended on a happy note, but technically it could have ended on a sad note because he gets obsessed with girls and she's got to go back to France.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what happens after the credits roll?
Exactly.
At the end of that baseball field, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah,
because
that scene was
she's got to go back to France.
Yeah.
And again, I thought, again, my favorite moments were with the paperboy, but on the rewatch, and again, being a former math teacher, I actually love the math scene.
Yeah.
just the idea of these high schoolers or the anticipation for every word he's saying about like geometry. I enjoyed it.
That scene, I literally laughed out loud rewatching it with that scene again. I was like, I forgot how funny it is. And like they're pulling out their homework and they're like so excited to get.
And I can't remember the actor's name, but I think most people would recognize him as the ghost in Ghost.
Oh yeah.
That teach Patrick Swayze how to pick up pennies and things. But anyway.
Yeah.
That would be
Also, the dad is from MASH.
The dad's from MASH, yeah.
Oh,
right. Yeah, MASH, yeah.
David Ogden.
Yeah, well, okay, David Ogden Stern, who passed away.
Is he dead?
Him, I know who's dead.
Oh, he is
and
dead.
Also, the teacher is Vincent Andrew Chiavelli, who also passed away.
Oh.
Aw. All right,
I
Kenny,
know my dead people.
cheer us up and tell us your favorite scene. Now that we've talked dead people.
You know what? I was thinking about it as everyone else was saying it, and one of the weirdest. I have a couple favorite scenes, but one of the weirdest. Well, of course, one of my favorites is "That's the waste of a perfectly good white boy."
That
And
line is fantastic.
I love-
It's
I love that.
It's so good.
People throw it away, a perfectly good white boy. I love that. But there's a scene before she blows up her face where she's talking about the language of love. And Lane's not even he doesn't even want to be there. And he's just throwing stuff around. He's trying to find a light so he can burn himself up. And she says language of love, and he looks at it and goes, him and her. And he goes, yeah, it makes sense. And he just starts doing what he's doing. Like he's like, him and her.
Yeah, that was a great
It
moment.
makes sense. And that,
I
for
also-
some reason, that's just so funny to me.
I
But
also love
she
how they
was
just
like,
talk louder at her.
yeah.
And
yeah,
he's like trying to say, he's like, Dad, she doesn't understand English at all. So he just gets louder. I was like, why do people do that? And they do. It
yeah,
happens
they
all
do.
the time.
They do.
And again, that's when Katie was talking about layers. It's just the little things you catch in this movie as you go back and watch it. The lines that again might seem like throwaways, but
Yeah.
are just hysterical.
No, they're all like incredibly intentional, and like you were saying that, Nat, like they all talk louder to her, except for Lane. Lane just talks away to her as if she fully understands, which is why I think
Yeah.
it's so funny when she actually does just like break down and start yelling in English, and he's like, wait a second, because he's just like he just has whole conversations with her as if she's like, you know, there but not really there, and like he never at any point tries to like raise his voice or try to explain anything to her. Like he just either assumes that she
He just
understands
talks normal to
or
her.
doesn't really care, like is just like using her as a sounding board. But either
He
way, it's
also
pretty
is the
funny.
only one who doesn't hit on her
Yeah.
too.
He
Like
Yes,
never-
he
yes.
only not like he's not lecherous towards her like
Yeah.
everybody else in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, if you noticed, after he burns the mom's face off, he has to take Ricky and Monique to school, and they're driving. Well, that's a good line too. Sorry about your mom, Ricky. Like, but when they get into the accident,
Yeah.
and she presses the gas to make him go, and they're going, and he's actually doing it. And then, you know, when they stop at school and the ducks get out, and he's talking to her like he's talking to her like it's an old friend, like, man, if I had my car, it'd be the boom, boom, boom. And he's all excited about it. And he'd forgotten all his problems because he was talking to her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then his ex-girlfriend, Beth, the bitch, and
PG show, Kenny. PG show.
Oh,
It's
I'm
okay. You
sorry.
can swear on the
That's
show. You're
fine.
good.
and yeah, because I heard Katie say shit earlier.
Yeah, there you go.
But
You're all good.
Beth the bitch, and you know, Skyline walked by, goes oink oink oink. All of a sudden, his whole demeanor changes, and he
Yeah.
gets back to being depressed and just walks away. And she's looking like where's he going? And then she looks next to her, and there's Ricky. And he's,
Yeah.
But see,
you
to me,
know.
that's the power of John Cusack. He doesn't have to even have the best lines
No.
because he does so much with his facial expressions and
Mhm.
body language, which is, I mean, he's no Christian Slater, but
Yeah.
there's no Keanu actually, but there's just something so John Cusack about John.
He is his
Cusack.
own. Yeah, I have always adored him, and I think you're right. Like I think it's his facial expressions, and then it's also, which this movie just embodies. He finds these roles, or he himself just must have some of this in him, where like the lines are always very funny but very dry, and like he never says it in a way that is meant to catch a laugh but does. Like he's very
yeah.
he just himself is so kind of
Delivery.
yeah, his delivery
Well-
is perfect, and the lines, it's always very kind of like dry sarcastic humor in all of the roles that he's in. So there's something about him where he never feels like he's trying too hard. Like he's not
Yeah.
he's
Well,
not the
think of it-
swoon-worthy guy, but he's likable, and you
But
can't
he
you can't-
is.
but he
'Cause
is.
The
when
thing,
we were growing up, we swooned over John Cusack all
True.
the time.
Yeah.
but see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. John Cusack is an average looking guy.
Yeah.
He's not the best
He's
looking
not
guy
the best
in the
looking
world.
guy. Yeah.
He's an average looking guy, but he was able to get on screen and make that average guy. He's good. He's good at doing the everyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They
making the
wouldn't cast like
everyman
that now.
attractive in the everyman persona of like, you know what? That's the kind of guy I want to hang out with. That's the everyman. That's the guy I want to, girls like that's the guy I want to go out with. That's the guy I want to marry. And other dudes are like, that's the guy I want to go drinking with.
Yeah.
Because he will say something off the wall that's like totally funny and not even act like it's funny.
And yeah, just
he's
quietly
like the
say
everyman.
it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I just keep thinking about like Grosse Point Blank is another one where it's like he's just like, even if he plays a different, like in that movie, he's a hired killer. But he's so like just quietly funny. Yeah, like there's these like lines that he says where you're like, what? Like, hang on a second.
The charm of John
Yeah,
Cusack.
he's just charming. There's
Or Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, Hot Tub Time Machine.
Hot Tub Time. He's like the every guy, and he really doesn't even want to be there in Hot Tub Time Machine. He doesn't really even want to be there.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like the leader, and he kind of sticks everybody together, and so.
And that movie, Hot Tub Time Machine, actually has a callback to this movie. There is the "I want my $2" line in the background of that movie, which is amazing. Yeah, which is amazing.
I don't remember that. What was that?
Yeah,
I gotta watch that again. Then.
Yeah, you'll have to watch it again.
And I have to give it a rewatch.
Yeah, it's in the background of it.
Because the one thing in that movie is I always love the way they're waiting for the guy to lose his arm.
I need to rewatch it again too.
No, that's not it.
It's been a long time since I've seen that one. But yeah, I was looking through like facts for this movie, and that was one of them, that even though John Cusack doesn't like this movie, it's grown on him, and they actually did include like a nod to it in Hot Tub Time Machine. So worth rewatching.
John, we all love it.
Yeah. Too bad, John Cusack. We love this movie. And there's apparently one lucky person that Savage Steve Holland said, even though John Cusack like lost his mind and hated this movie, I guess like he must have been in a great mood or something happened and someone put a Better Off Dead poster in front of him and he actually signed it. And Savage Steve Holland was like,
really?
Run, take that poster and run.
Well,
never going to sign
I don't
another
think
one.
Michelle... there's some actors who have roles that they don't want to, because I don't think Michelle Pfeiffer acknowledges Grease 2.
Yeah, there you go. So you have to get her to sign a Grease 2 poster, and you can take it right to the bank.
Everything you do, especially if you have like 100 movies under your belt or something.
And you can't choose.
I imagine some people have a bad day at work.
You also can't choose which movies people love.
Things we regret.
Yeah, like you could hate it and not be impressed with the entire situation, and yet it could become everyone's favorite movie. So it is what it is.
I feel like it's one of those things when you're making a movie, you don't know. You know, like Lord of the Rings, the whole cast, Peter Jackson, everybody, they're filming it, and they're like, we're going to do all of them all at once because we don't know that we'll be able to do a second one because it's probably not going to do well. And it's like one of the most like famous trilogies out there. It's up there with the famous trilogy.
It's amazing, like a movie like this that's called classic. When an actor does a movie like this, or like Lord of the Rings, or like, so many other things, Ferris Bueller, you do these movies and you don't realize that they're going to be something that's going to last ever, and you're going to be immortalized in this role.
Yep.
And you don't realize that while you're doing it.
Yeah.
How big it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think part of
that's a great feeling.
I think part of that, Kenny, too, is because, and again, you guys, your podcast is based on this VHS Club, this whole idea of those movies from like the 80s and 90s that so many Gen Xers and boomers and, that watched and rewatched. And even though we might not be able to relate to everything, trying to kill ourselves over breaking up with somebody, there are little bits and pieces of it that we can relate to. We've all had the meals that like, ugh, I don't want to eat that. And we've all had like just those weird, quirky experiences. And when we can pull those laughs and keep them with us, I think that's what can kind of make a cult classic and make it live on. And again, it doesn't help to have that VHS tape that you can play over and over and over again.
Yeah, it
Yeah, we
is.
did have a limited sort, like we didn't have streaming
Yeah.
services. You couldn't just watch things on demand.
Yep.
Like if you rented that tape, you watched it until you had to bring it back.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys, Katie and Natalie. Do you guys actually own VHS tapes
Yes.
and have VHS players?
Yes. I still have
Okay.
I still have
I
a
think I
I'm
VCR.
have some.
impressed. Now,
Grant,
now
I
I'm
have some
impressed.
near me, like at
not
hand.
I will say I definitely own way more DVDs than VHS, but a lot of the reason
Yes.
behind that is that I worked for years at Blockbuster, so I was constantly
Oh,
updating
no.
my movies, and I'm angry at myself. I got rid of a lot of VHS because because I was like, oh wow, I'm updating them to this. I bought the same ones on DVD. I do
Yeah.
still own all the DVDs, and they're all still in the cases. But we had Josh, who is hanging out in the studio audience on for an entire episode all about VHS, and he owns like a ton. So it's cool that it's becoming
It's a
like
thing now.
it's becoming a
Kids
collector's
collect- like
item
vinyl.
again. Yeah, it's
Like
like vinyl.
vinyl.
Yeah. People want to like
Yes.
physically own them, and so it's been fun. I've been trying to buy more and get and recollect them. Yeah. My husband is
Except
on
when
and he
they get
says so
caught
many.
in the machine. I've lost so many tapes in the VHS machine. And actually, I mentioned or alluded to doing comedy, and I did stand-up comedy for about 7 or 8 years when I lived in New York. And actually, the only way it's preserved, I think, and I don't even know where it is right now, it might be in my storage locker, is on a VHS
Uh-huh.
tape.
You
Yeah.
have to
Because
digitize it.
I actually had to, have your tape, your reel that you
Yeah.
would send out. And I actually sent mine out to colleges. So I did a lot of colleges
I
and
love
and
that.
had a lot of
Amazing.
nice work. I could
it-
actually say I played the University of Alaska.
That is
Amazing.
so cool. I
Got
love
me
it.
a free trip to Alaska. But in
Oh.
any case, I can't even watch my old routine because it's on VHS. And
Oh, well,
even
you
though
have
I
to
have
go
the
hang out
tape,
with Val. She's got 2 VHS players, 2 DVD
Oh.
players, and a portable DVD player. Val has not
Oh.
seen almost all of the movies we do, but she's got all of the
she's
ability
got the
to.
equipment.
Let me tell you, as someone who has seen Kathy stand up back in the day, she was hilarious.
We will
I
have
don't
to.
doubt
You will
it.
have to send us.
I
I love how he puts me in the past.
I was
tense.
50% of her act. Talking about me was 50% of her act.
You got to give the material.
You got to
That's
use your
important.
brother for something.
Yeah.
But she was hilarious.
Yeah. That's
Aw,
amazing.
You should do a stand-up show. You'll have to bring it
We
back.
do stand-up shows.
Yeah.
Oh, those
Kathy will not do comedy now.
Oh, come on.
Kathy will not do comedy now. No.
Well, we
It-
are.
It seems like it's a very difficult
It's a hard
thing to
place
do. I
be,
have a
yeah.
couple of friends who are comics, like stand-up comics in Montreal, and it's
It's
tough.
tough.
Like
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a lot
it
of
is. I
work.
I host a lot. I host open mics here in New Jersey, and I have a lot of comic friends who tell me that I should try it.
Yeah.
And I've tried it before, and I wasn't funny.
I think you're pretty funny. But
You
I
know-
also
no,
think
you know-
stand-up
you know
is
how
hard.
you know how they blink the light on you when your time is up.
Yeah.
I told one joke, and they started blinking the light on me.
They're like, get this guy off the stage.
It's such an
I think somebody in the
intimidating
comments, I don't know if it was Doc, they wanted to hear a joke from Nat in French. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
joke.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's like way
I'm
aside.
funny because I do funny things. I don't construct jokes well. I'm just clumsy.
Oh, well, we are at the point where we need to do our rating. So if you're hanging out with us in the studio audience, drop your rating in. I guess we could do skiing. We could do little skis, ski boots. You could do potatoes if you want to do potatoes. You can do stars if you're boring. And if you're listening later, you're
What
like,
was
what
she
the heck?
throwing at the sign when she was angry? Pears? It looked
Oh,
like
yeah.
pears.
Pears, apples. One of
Or
those.
dollars, $2.
Oh, you could
Yeah.
throw dollars in. Yeah. You
$2?
could throw
$2, like $2 is one star. $2
Is there a
you
newspaper
like
emoji?
$2 together.
You
Yeah.
could throw the newspaper emoji in. Yeah, and if you're listening or watching later and you're like, what the heck? We record the show live most Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. So it lets you get to hang out and actually contribute to the show. Looks like Kenny and Kathy are in for for skiers, for ski jumpers, or for $2 bills. I'm gonna
Alpine
pretend they're
ski.
$2 bills.
They are $2 bills.
Yeah, I was. We were talking about this before. I was at 4. I'm probably at 5 if I'm being honest. And Kenny was saying he was at 5, but it feels like maybe it's not. We should save 5 maybe for like those really fantastic movies. This is just one of those ones where it's just so good.
It's really, if you look back at it, what they did in the 80s. Now, the young kid, the young Gen Z or millennial saw it now, they would say, "Oh, this is stupid." But with a comedy of the 80s, that was pretty much a 5-star movie. That was pretty much a funny. That was up there with Blazing Saddles and History of the World Part 1 and Mr. Mom and all that. It was up there.
Yeah.
So and it was one of those quotable movies that everyone loved, but it has some moments in it that wouldn't fly now, like the teacher asking Beth out and driving away with her. That's not gonna happen. That's not appropriate.
Yeah, there's some inappropriate things. It's like watch, through the lens of historical context, but it's still really funny.
Yeah.
I also
you know what bothers me about that movie?
What?
The one thing that bothers me about this movie is when he's doing the hamburgers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who's going to eat that meat now?
Yeah.
Oh. It's that whole scene.
The whole scene is painful to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very unsanitary.
It was
I was getting kind of sick to my stomach watching the unsanitariness, and then I have to say, okay, it's a movie. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
I mean, the guy has a big cigar hanging out of his mouth, doesn't wash his hands, and
doesn't let Lane wash his hands. Yeah,
the whole thing. Where are you going? Wash your hands at your own time.
Yeah.
And then he's telling Lane, like, you have to come in early to make sure everything's clean and spotless because we have standards. And then when he kicks him out of the kitchen and he falls on the dining room floor, which is carpeted, like first red flag for a restaurant, and then you see there's like food and garbage and cigarette butts all over the floor. Like the place is filthy. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, that scene was hard to. He's just a hard to watch character in that scene.
He is.
I'm with you on that one.
But he was hard. He was hard to watch in Porky's too.
Yeah, that one I don't overly. That's not
he played like the same type of guy, like this really jerky, this big jerky guy. But he played the same kind of guy.
I did also love the scene where he goes skiing, like the two of them go skiing and with Monique and Lane, and after they get down off the hill and he kind of gets hurt, there's a little skiing montage and they're doing a sport that used to be called ski ballet.
Or oh yes,
yeah,
I don't know. It was at the '86 Olympics in Calgary. I am obsessed. I have spent hours on YouTube just watching old ski ballet videos because it's the most ridiculous thing ever. There's costumes and music and choreography, and I love it. So when I saw it in this movie, I'm like, I love this. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Natalie, you really need a better hobby.
I know.
I'm just putting it out there like that.
Watching ski ballet is probably not even a hobby.
Watching ski ballet, that's
wine. You call it guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. Guilty pleasure.
But they don't feel guilty about it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much to you both for joining us. And I don't want to leave without you letting us know where we can listen and watch your show and a bit more details about it. So let us know.
Kathy, do the honors.
Okay, we are Kathy and Kenny. We used to call it Explaining Pop Culture, but now we're just Pop Kulture Kids. And you can find that with a K on YouTube. And we broadcast Sunday nights at 8:00. And usually we pick a topic and just ramble on about it, kind of like we're doing
not unlike this show. If you like this show, it's a
Sunday nights at 8 Eastern Standard Time.
I love
this
it.
Sunday, we're going to be talking about, we're going to give flowers to Denzel Washington. We're going to be talking about the career of Denzel since he announced that he's going to do a couple of movies, one of which I'm very excited for because he's going to be in Black Panther 3.
Ah, okay.
Ooh.
So
and then he's going to
then
retire.
he's retiring. So
Oh, I know. It's so funny these
wants to
days. I
retire.
don't.
He share? Like, no, Denzel, don't do that
I
to
know.
us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Denzel's
you
going to
need to be
retire,
like
man.
Sean Connery and just do it forever.
Do it
Yeah,
forever.
no, he's
Exactly.
not. Look, if you got Denzel money, you can retire.
Well, of course he can.
He
But we
can,
don't want
did
but
it.
should
Should.
he? Exactly. But
Yeah,
should
well,
he?
he really shouldn't because the level of actors that we have out there now, there's not too many. You know, you're not going to have too many Denzels or Al Pacinos and
Yeah.
people like that out there who
Well,
really
gotta make space
grit
for the
into it.
next. So
Huh?
I said you gotta always make space for the next.
Oh,
You
you're
do,
so
you
nice.
do,
I'm
you
like,
do.
oh, I guess we're only watching movies from the past forever now. Like we're not gonna watch any more new movies.
I like.
There are no
I
backup
you can't
actors.
replace Denzel. He's beautiful. He's talented.
Exactly.
No.
You know what? I have people say the same thing about me all the time. But look,
Anyway, this is
Well,
what I have to deal with every week.
We should not leave without wishing Josh a really happy birthday. It was Josh's birthday yesterday.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Happy birthday, Josh.
to Josh. We hope you had an awesome,
happy
awesome day.
birthday to you.
No,
Happy
let's not get in trouble. Oh no,
birthday
that's
to
open source.
you.
We're good. We're good.
Like,
Or like we like to do in a
wait,
cookout. Happy birthday to you. Go ahead.
that sounds way more fun.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday. I forget what movie we're doing next week, and I have not yet scheduled it.
Not a
So
clue.
surprise for everyone. We will announce that
You
and
should
surprise it later.
you should do Prince movies.
We should.
Oh my God, you don't go there.
I'm a huge Prince. You should do Prince movies. I just watched
I
Graffiti
love
Bridge the other
Prince.
night.
Yeah.
Kitty,
I
Nat,
love
don't try to invite yourself back.
Nat is
I
all,
seen-
Nat
I
is
s-
all in.
I've seen him in
Great
concert
joke,
twice.
yes.
I've seen him in
Oh.
concert twice.
I
Jealous.
missed his last show in Montreal was a few weeks before he passed, but he did this thing where he would just come to Montreal without telling anybody,
Randomly.
show up at like our rock radio station and just be like, "Hey Montreal, it's Prince." And like the next 7 people that call in, I'm doing a private show for you. It's like, what?
Yeah, here.
I missed him by like
Wow.
I was in
Well,
the
he would do
queue.
things like that.
Yeah.
He did that all the time. Or sometimes
He-
he would be like, there's this one story where he's driving by downtown and just saw somebody. It's like, do you want to come to my show? And like limo ride and everything to the show. He was so, anyways, I'm obsessed with Prince. We can go on forever.
Yes, we could.
All right. Well, if we do any kind of Prince movie, we also need to review the episode of The New Girl that he was in because that is
yes,
also
I
one of
love
my
that
favorite.
episode. I love that.
Hysterical.
That reaction is me every time I think about Prince.
Okay.
Just falls
All
You
right,
guys
well,
are
maybe that
tangent.
upcoming then. Maybe that upcoming. Who knows? Who knows what's on the calendar?
like, oh no, we'll have to do Purple Rain.
It's
Buckle
true.
up, kids. You have no idea.
It's true. Nat will go
Under the
all
Chain
in.
Moon. Under the Chain Moon is a good one.
Oh my goodness. You guys
Oh.
squirrel a lot.
We do. We all squirrel. Well, we shouldn't scroll too much longer as we're way over time, but we've had all the fun.
Okay. We've had
We will-
we've had a lot of fun. And Catherine, I would like to thank you guys for having us on your
Anytime.
podcast, having
Come
us
back
here
again
tonight.
So much
soon.
for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Definitely come back again soon. And
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll come
Come
back
back
when you
for-
guys do the Prince show.
all right, it's a deal. We will do we will do the print show, and we will have you both back for it. Kathy will have to suck it up for joining us for
And
Prince.
we have to have you guys on a Sunday night
I
come
have
to our
the
show.
purple, so I'm
Yeah,
ready.
you're ready.
I
you're
know.
ready.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
had-
Kathy's already on theme with
Yeah, we're on
Prince.
We have to have you guys. We have to have you guys come through on a Sunday night.
Deal.
Absolutely.
We'd love that. Oh, that'd be awesome. Well,
Absolutely.
hope everyone has a really fun time. We're probably not doing any holiday movies this month, so if you're here for holiday movies, we're sorry. We're just gonna skip right over it. Nat's very grinchy, so we're not gonna do any
I
holiday
came up
movies.
with a Christmas plan. I have a Christmas episode planned.
All right, we'll do one episode. Yeah, Nat doesn't. We've already done all of our favorite Christmas movies, so we're just
Not
gonna
all of
continue
them.
on. Yeah, not
You
all
did a
of them.
Muppet Christmas Carol.
We didn't do the
We haven't
Muppet
done Muppets.
Christmas.
Yeah,
The
I
Muppet
think
Christmas Carol is awesome.
yeah,
It's
that's
not
a
the
When the
good
Christmas
cold wind
Carol,
blows
it's
and
the other
chills
one.
you, chills to the bone.
Nat wants
I
to do
love
the
the
other one.
family
The
one.
the yeah,
Muppets Family Christmas.
Muppets Family. Yeah, it's the. Yeah, we'll have to find
It's
it.
on YouTube, so you guys don't have to
Alright.
find it on VHS. It is on YouTube.
We'll figure it out. Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone for watching and hanging out with us yet again. We'll be back again next Thursday. We have no idea what the show will be, but it'll be here on YouTube at 9 p.m. Eastern if you want to join the live studio audience. And you can click through in the show notes or in the description to find these two incredible people on their show on Sundays and maybe see us there on an upcoming Sunday. And you can swing by our website, thevhsclubpod.com, to get Nat's notes and to leave voicemail and to see past episodes and all that fun stuff. So definitely do that. But thank you to everyone. Happy birthday to Josh, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Peace.
Kitty and Nat, walking the scene